right. Sad day in the world of sports. It's a really sad day.
It was a terrible day yesterday, but today's great.
It's a sad day today. I do have to ask, what the fuck are you wearing?
This is a championship.
Not the Celtics thing.
This is a championship belt.
Your team is down 0-3.
I didn't say the Lakers are a champion. I said I was a champion.
You're not a champion. Your team is about to be swept in the playoffs.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heatcheck NZ episode 9. Because since our host hasn't done the intro because he's
welcome.
So
I have no clue why this person is wearing a wrestling belt to our podcast. But anyway, welcome aboard. Today, like I said, is a bad, sad day. But let's talk about what yesterday was. Yesterday was probably one of the greatest days to be a sports fan.
So you're calling it my belt. What? Excuse my language, but what the fuck are you wearing?
What?
What's the team that's on the
Go Denver
patch on there?
Go Denver, man. I've been a fan since way back.
Since when?
Since forever.
Okay.
Since forever.
Okay.
I've always been a Denver fan.
What was the last Denver team that made the conference finals?
That would have been in the bubble.
No.
I don't know, man.
Before. Okay.
My head's full of Celtic knowledge.
Name me a conference finals team that doesn't have Joker on it.
There's that one that had Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony. I don't know. Look, I'm a Denver supporter. If they're playing the Lakers, I am a number one fan. So go Denver.
I mean, this is bullshit, but hey, whatever works for you. I guess we've got a larger point of why you're wearing that we'll come back to.
Yes, so let's talk about...
Because you are not a Denver fan.
Let's talk about yesterday's game. It was do or die at home. I was hearing so much talk about how the Lakers are undefeated at home, how LeBron and AD can't let this happen. They're going to put the greatest team, and this is what the casual Laker fans argue. This is the greatest team LeBron's ever had. Oh my God, Reeves, Rui, Russell, Schroeder. You can't match their depth. They're the best defensive team in the league. And what happened, Tim? Can you tell me what happened? What was yesterday's result?
The Denver Nuggets won, and they're currently up 3-0. I will take a second to say, you say casual Lakers fan, you pick out one random person from our TikTok vids and say that's
casual
your
Lakers fan. No, there's more than one. There seems to be some belief that this is the greatest team LeBron's ever had, which is absolute BS. But anyway, let's talk about the game. What stood out for you?
I think the biggest difference was the fact that Murray continued his form from game 2. So he came out in the first quarter shooting lights out. There was nothing the Lakers could do. They were already on the back foot, as they had been in games 1 and 2.
I was watching that game, Murray. I believe if you take the first however many minutes and the last however many minutes of game 2, Murray had scored 40 points in 24 minutes.
It was 40 points in 20 minutes, I think.
Stupid.
It was absolutely insane. And when someone's playing like that, there's not a lot you can do. I think Ham had talked about how they let him get good looks where it was going in early, but honestly, the defense wasn't necessarily terrible. It's just Murray decided the game was not going to be
right. So Murray was a massive factor. KCP to me and
shot the lights out.
And MPJ were fantastic. MPJ's been getting a lot of criticism lately, and I remember he was supposed to be a 3-point specialist when he first came out. I remember he was a big rookie, and then injury set him back. But I think he's one of those low-key dark horses that people have kind of forgotten about. But he stepped up in a big, big way. Game 3, I think the combination of Murray shooting the lights out, KCP, MPJ stepping up. Bruce Brown had a decent game. Surprisingly enough, Joker could have been a cone on that court until the fourth quarter. So what's scary about Denver is that they are winning without the Joker having to go nuclear, and that is a scary prospect for my Celtics.
Well, I will say they played well in the first 2 games, but that being said, the thing with Joker's part was, he didn't play particularly great the first 3, and he got in foul trouble. But I think in games 1 and 2, he was gassed in the fourth from having to exert so much. He came in the fourth and was rested, and that's when we were in trouble. The fact that the Lakers couldn't make a difference when Aaron Gordon was playing center and you had guys like Jeff Green out there, the fact that they didn't make a run and put themselves in a 8 or 10 point lead meant they were in trouble when Joker came back in.
Yeah, because Aaron Gordon played about 32, 33 minutes and had bugger all points, but it was what he was doing on the defensive end that was really, really impressive.
He was taking shots, so they were actually having to respect him. He was doing a good job cutting to the basket and being physical. He was even deterring Rui, who's had a relatively good series, for the expectations he would have had coming into it. The other thing, just going back to MPJ, is he's often looked at, I guess, as a little bit of a black hole. He had 6 assists. So the team,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
indicative of the team trusting each other and being confident in how they were playing offensively to where they were able to just execute.
Yeah, and I think another reason that Nuggets were able to just put this one away was everybody on their team played like a team. There was everyone on that team was in
Pushing
positive.
in the same direction.
Everyone in the team was in positive plus minus. Contavious Caldwell was -1, I think, but everyone else on that team was in positive plus minus, and they only got the job done with 7 players. It only took 7 players to get the job done, so it tells you that they're all on form, they all know what they're doing, they've all got their roles, and they stick to it. But over to the other side, I guess, what did the Lakers do wrong?
I mean, there's a few things. In the larger series at large, D'Angelo Russell's been a massive negative. He was 1 of 8, I think, from the field, which hurts because if he's not like a lockdown defender, if Vando's not shooting well, then at least he's contributing on defense. But Russell turned the ball over a little bit. He only had 4 assists. He didn't shoot well, and he didn't really offer a lot on defense, including the flagrant. So, I mean, the problem is if you're not offering anything on either side of the ball, why you're out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Russell, Schroeder, and Reeves had 9 of your team's 12 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, the free guard lineups were killing. And, like, the thing is, it worked a little bit against Golden State towards the end of that series, but Denver was not obviously the right team for that lineup, and Ham refused to go away with it, which it's not going to be a case of fire the coach and let's all blame him, but there were cases where maybe D'Lo needed to have a shorter leash, and then on top of that, maybe going away from the guard lineups.
Can I just say, back to a point I've made previously that I've been absolutely blasted for, you were never going to be able to win with your strategy, your Laker team strategy, and I was proven right in this game.
Which strategy?
The strategy was relying on scrubs to win the games for you down the stretch. You needed LeBron James, you needed Anthony Davis, you needed those 2 guys to have monster games to win or even make the finals. It's a miracle you got there, if I'm being honest. And I said to you and I said to the public, you can't rely on these guys. You can't, and you did. You're putting the ball in Reeves' hands way too much. You're giving him way too many minutes. He's having more touches and shots at the hoop than he should be. There should be 80 and should be LeBron taking those shots. That's why you've lost.
I'm going to completely backfire on this for a second because he was 91% true shooting in this game.
Yeah, he was.
And on top of that, I've got a stat. I knew I was going to save this for you. I'm going to save this for you. And
that proves my point. Your team strategy was use Reeves. That's a problem.
The point is he's the third rotation guy, so he became the first person
he shouldn't
in the
have
history
been.
of the conference finals to have 20 points, 5+ assists, and 65% true shooting from the field.
Yeah, brilliant. He was also -15 for the game, the highest out of everyone on your team, and he had 4 turnovers.
AD was -12.
He had 1 lucky shot over a defender off the backboard that pulled the game close. But the thing with Reeves is, right, for some reason, I don't know what it is. You might have an excuse. You've already fired them at me already, but for some reason, you'd like to tell me that AD and Bron are injured. So Reeves is getting touches. Now, I will retract this one statement. Reeves isn't the bum I thought he was, all right? He's not the bum I thought he was.
See, this is the thing. You have a bias. You just hate Austin Reeves, and you can't acknowledge that he's a decent player.
He's not the bum.
He's a second-year player.
I just said to you, he's not the bum I thought he was. But from an organizational coaching standpoint, you guys put too much faith in your bums. And what I mean by bums is your role players. Now, they stepped up for you in some games, and they hit some big shots, sure. But LeBron James and AD should have been the guys to take over both of these games, and they just didn't, right? AD is on again, off again. AD, he has a good game, he has a terrible game. LeBron is playing way more facilitator. He needs to go back to old Bron, muscle in. Every time LeBron actually put his shoulders down and went to the hole, he scored. I couldn't help but laugh that he kept going away from it.
I don't know whether it's age or whether it's health, but he was hesitant to do it earlier in the series, hence all the terrible frees and people pointing out how terrible shooting was. He was 3 for 9 this game, which still isn't great, but compared to not having made one the first 2 games, it's fine. I think the problem is if you live and die on LeBron getting into the post, maybe he didn't have it in him anymore. I think the thing that's more disappointing...
But isn't that a better strategy than relying on Reeves, Scrotum, and Rui to get it done?
The thing is,
dudes who have been with your team less than a year?
They were giving the ball to them up later in the shot clock when they weren't getting the opportunities to happen. They tried going to AD. He'd get touches against guys like Gordon, and he wasn't being able to be effective.
Is this the same AD that everyone said is the greatest big man in the league? I believe that those are your words.
I think
you ran into the greatest big man in the league in my team, Denver.
He's the best two-way player, and let's not get into this. A big factor of why Joker was able to play well against AD is the fact that he had to be more worried about Murray. Murray's been the guy. He went from 26 points per game in the playoffs before the series to 35 in the series.
Well, that doesn't add up then, because based on Murray's last round's performance, you wouldn't have to worry about him. You have to worry about the guy dominating everything, which was Joker. Murray was playing trash, in my opinion, up until this series where he's just been in his bag. But in terms of the scouting report, I doubt it would have been load Murray and leave Joker.
I don't think that's necessarily what it was, but you saw how they were adjusting things like putting Rui and Bron on Joker to try limit him and using AD as a help defender. That doesn't work when Murray's destroying your defense. So I think he's been the biggest difference maker in the series.
Murray, to me, coming into this was very hot and cold. I would have hedged my bet on that. But after seeing him this series, it is looking pretty nasty. Now, let's talk a little bit about someone else who's been a letdown. And this is for all you Laker fans. After Lonnie Walker beat the Golden State Warriors in one game, it was almost like the second coming of Christ on social media. Everyone talking about Lonnie mother effing Walker, and Lonnie's going to do this and Lonnie's going to do that. Sit down. He's been nothing. He had one game where he played out of his skin, lucky to beat Golden State. He doesn't have that lucky game. Then Golden State are probably in the finals, conference finals with Denver.
I'm going to retract on that. You keep using the word luck and trying to discredit the Lakers. They blew the Warriors out multiple times. The Warriors only had one blowout win. And they won in 6. They were the better team.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that you don't deserve to be where you are. I feel that in my heart because I'm a Celtics fan. But objectively speaking, sure, you guys got the result. What I'm saying is, and I've been saying this all along, the strategy of let's just pray and hope that Reeves, Rui, Russell, Schroeder, Lonnie Walker, let's just pray and hope that all of them go and have a 20-point quarter one game, and that's all we need to win. That's not a long-term winning strategy.
That's not a strategy, though. That's a casual take to say that's a strategy. It was
exactly the strategy, because it was proven by the fact that you got Reeves playing nearly 40 minutes a game. You're putting guys like Lonnie Walker, who was playing garbage time minutes in game one versus whatever team, coming on and now scoring for 20. It's rolling the dice, and that's what Harm's strategy was. I'm going to roll the dice and see what happens and see who can step up today. That's not how you win playoff finals basketball, and it's proven right.
That's a casual take. They've had to adjust because Vando's defense hasn't been effective against Murray, and he hasn't been contributing offensively. He was the starting...
Vando was never contributing offensively.
No, but he was contributing defensively, so you have to take him out of the rotation. Okay, we put Austin's minutes up, Rui comes in. Rui contributed well across the series, so that's fine. The problem is when a guy like D'Angelo Russell makes a 100-point differential in terms of your net rating over a series, and he's playing 20 to 30 minutes a game. That's what stings you.
This is what I'm saying, though. The fact that you have to use D'Lo is the problem.
D'Lo, a guy who is an all-star. So your third best player is a role player.
Tell me, and anyone in any series this far, where the strategy is to go away from your 1 and 2 punch and use your guys 3, 4, 5 to win the game.
I don't think
because you're the only team that's done it.
80's not been playing well in the series overall.
Proves my point. You're the only team who are relying on 3, 4, and 5 to win games.
That's the strategy, and it's not working. They're not relying on it. You're conflating the two differences.
I'm not. I'm just simply saying no other team in the playoffs has used the strategy, hey, let's go away from the 2 best guys on our team and let's just pray and hope that guys 3, 4, and 5 step up.
I'm going to interject and cut you off right there. What about Miami? Let's talk about that.
Look, do we have to spend time on Miami and Boston?
Oh, hell yeah, we do. If you want to go in about the Lakers, I mean, hell, Chuck and Shaq were even calling it out. Those guys didn't even show up for the second half. What do you got to say? Come on.
As a Celtics fan, I'm disgusted. I am embarrassed and I'm repulsed at the effort that I saw today.
Do you know what? You can't rely on Caleb Martin to win you games, guys. Sorry. It's just not going to happen.
No, you cannot. And Gabe Vincent popping off for 29 today. Look, I have to give the Heat credit. I thought it was an absolute joke that they beat the Bucks. I then thought, I gave them no question whatsoever. I was like, Knicks, Heat, who cares? Doesn't matter.
How is it at this point in the season the Knicks are the team that's done the best against Miami?
And then you have today. I was confident. I would have bet the house on the fact that the Celtics would have won today. I
hope you didn't.
I didn't, but I was very, very confident that the Celtics were going to storm back and tie the series. After today, I'm I feel worse today than I do about losing to Kobe.
I mean, let's do this because this has been happening in the group chat anyway. The Lakers are down 0-3. It's a difficult comeback, but nothing like losing by 30 in Game 3.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean,
it was
every
26,
single starter,
but it was 30 most of the game.
Every single player on the Celtics was a negative plus minus. Jason Tatum, when your number one guy has an off game, you need your number two guy to step up. Brown has been absolutely shocking these playoffs. He went 0 for 7 from 3 today. I think combined Tatum, Smart, Horford, and Brown were 1 for 20 from 3 today. You just can't have that in a game like today, backs against the wall. Tatum having his huge 51-piece on the road against Philly. I was hoping for that again today, but Brown playing the way he was playing, Tatum and Brown both having turnovers. I think I'm ready to admit that I was wrong. The Celtics were too small. I bring this down to two things. They were too small. They had their defense and as a team was terrible, but their defense in the paint was terrible. The coaching, I've never in my life blamed a bad coach. I don't believe coaching. I don't believe coaching is the reason why teams lose games. It might be a minor factor, but I don't believe coaching has ever been a number one or number two factor for people losing games. Joey Boy was just out-coached. I don't understand why Robert Williams was on Jimmy Butler. I don't understand why Jaylen
Tatum didn't put their hands up.
I don't understand why Jaylen Brown was on Jimmy Buckets. I mean, it's just like, I'm just the defensive rotations were interesting to me. It was a perfect storm, right? And I got to give credit to the Heat. Their bums stood up, their role players stood up, and they delivered. Martin, Vincent, Robinson, or the three.
I was going to say Duncan Robinson coming back and killing.
Well, Duncan Robinson averaging 7 points now, coming off for a 20 bomb is just ridiculous. But Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, and whoever else were all undrafted. So I mean, as much as I give the Lakers trouble for saying relying on your bums, Miami Heat are doing it with less talent and absolutely killing.
Let's not say less talent. They're legitimately talented too. This
is on par to be probably one of, if not the hardest roads to the finals I've ever seen. It's up there with Dirk's 2011 run, if Jimmy can pull this off. I mean, I've always liked Jimmy. I really have. I have nothing bad to say about him. I hate his guts today.
Do you know what? I'm going to put that take out there. If Jimmy ends up leading Miami to a title, it's the best individual performance of all time in terms of leading a team to the finals. It's better than Dirk's. It's even better than, I think everyone likes to harp on about the ones recently, like Giannis's one, for example, all these other ones. Jimmy's would be by far and away the best. Better than Kawhi in Toronto even.
I'm not sure if that's going to be the best. I mean, look, sure. He ran through the number one seed. He ran through the number 2 seed.
And then the number one seed of the other conference, more than likely.
I mean, I get that, but he's not playing. He hasn't played any defending champs this year. He didn't run through championship caliber teams. And you could argue that Giannis was injured.
The Lakers did.
You could argue that Giannis was injured. You could argue that, the Celtics have been through as many coaches, although it's a weak argument because the Celtics have shat the bed. And
terrible. They made the conference finals. They're not a bad team.
Running through the Knicks, it's the Knicks. No one cares about the Knicks. So, and then you go through Joker, an untested team that deep in the playoffs. So, I don't. And then
coming out with asterisks already. I thought you were a Denver fan.
Well, I am a Denver fan, but I'm just saying I could see the. I don't know if it's the greatest or the hardest road. It's one of them. It's up there for sure. But I can kind of see the asterisk. You look at guys like Joker and Denver, their number one seed, but it was Joker and no All-Stars. So I can see the argument made against it being not the greatest team.
I think using no All-Stars against Murray's rough because he's been playing like an All-NBA player these playoffs.
He has. But anyway, back to the Heat. Wow, it's. I think actually Tyler Hero and Depot getting injured is a blessing in disguise for the Heat because it gave minutes to guys like Vincent, Strus, and Martin, and it actually forced them to step up. And we would never have seen this if Tyler Hero was on the floor.
Also, I think just the culture in general, a guy like Lowry setting the tone with taking charges as you'd expect him to. The charge, the double attempt at a charge from Smart and Lowry perfectly encapsulates the difference between these two teams. It was a dumb, unnecessary foul, and it just put the Heat over more.
Yeah, it did. So, I mean, if we're looking forward to the offseason, I'm not sure what the Celtics do in terms of trading, who they trade,
I mean, rumors is Jalen wants out.
Well, you got to move Jalen. He becomes a free agent year after next, I think, or next year. So,
I don't want to speak it into his existence, but I saw someone raise a where the smoke was fire type rumor about potentially Dame. For Jalen.
Yeah, Dame,
like some sort of package.
Well, that looks nice. I mean, if you look at the free agents, it's not looking great. You got Chris Boucher, Doug McDermott, Chris Paul is even in the pool there for a mix.
You're relying on Chris Paul?
I'm not relying on Paul, but I'm just saying these are the players that are out there. And then you've got, do you look for Spicy P? Do you look for, like you said, Dame? It's interesting. I don't know what they do, but I feel as a Celtics fan for the first time in a long time, man, if you had asked me 2 years ago, the Celtics' future was 5 straight years.
Yeah, you were sitting across from me saying, we've got a way better chance
Well, we still do. I mean, we still do. But
here's the thing. It's not like we're talking like the final's going to happen, and yeah, they most likely will, but there's still a chance. As long as there's a chance, there's a chance.
Well,
even if it's only 1%.
Look, I love the Celtics more than anything, but they're not making the finals. Lakers aren't making the finals.
I don't think the Lakers are going to. But if anyone could come back from 3-0, it'd be the guy who came back from 3-1.
No, Tim, no. LeBron's not coming back from 3-0.
I mean, it's not the same guy, but my point is more, everyone said the same thing
if it was
when they were
old
down
LeBron,
1-3.
If it was old AD, if it was...
Bubble AD, you mean?
If it was a lick of talent in their prime, I might have given a 0.1% chance, but it's 0%. Celtics and Lakers are done for.
This is why you talked about the tattoo, right?
The only thing that sweetens the fact my Celtics are down 0-3 is that their bums across from them, the Lakers, are in the exact same position, and that makes me so much happier because, again, franchise underperforming.
Underperforming. You guys were the number 1 rated net team in the NBA this year. You were second in offense, third in defense. Where did it get you?
And you've had the greatest talent ever assembled on the basketball court in the history of the game. And
Sorry, a 38-year-old LeBron James is the best talent ever.
And how many championships have you got? Not more than us. Okay. Moving on to the finals. So
Can we take Bill Russell out of the argument for a second?
Let's have a look at the finals, Timmy. So,
assuming they both get through, because it looks like it's going to be
Miami. It looks like it's going to be Miami, Denver. My money's on my brand new favorite team, the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. To be honest with you, I think Joker stops Miami's fairy tale run. I don't think Miami make it any further than probably 5 games. Denver are just too well coached. They're just too good. They have everything the Miami Heat have, but better. And that's why I don't think that the Heat... Look, the Heat's like it's got to run out eventually. Just like the Lakers did, the bums can't do it all for you at all times. Your stars can. So I do believe that the Denver Nuggets are going to win the championship in probably 5 games. I might give Miami 1. Jimmy Buckets is going to go bonkers, but you've got nobody to stop Joker.
I think you're completely wrong in the take here because the whole point is both teams deserve respect, and this isn't to knock Denver, but Miami's been, like the Lakers, in dogfights for months now, close late-game situations, relying on Jimmy to hit game winners. He's prepared for that. He has more fight in him than any guy left in the playoffs. You've already seen the Lakers be able to push back in the fourth quarter or in the second halves against Denver in games 1 and 2. I think Miami is a greater version of that. They're clearly hungrier for this title than I think anyone left in the playoffs.
Everyone talks about Jimmy being this dog. Like, yeah, dude, I get it. But you put SGA on that same team. He puts up numbers better than Jimmy. You put Tatum on that team. He puts up numbers better than Jimmy. In the postseason.
In the postseason, hell no.
The reason that this team are winning isn't because of Jimmy. It's because of the depth. It's because of these guys that haven't played that are stepping up and delivering. Because look, if you look at a team's bloody scouting report, right? Their scouting reports are... They're fresh. They're new. They've got 4 games to figure out a certain player, where they move, how they shoot, what plays they're going to run with these new players. It's all new. The reason that they're winning is coaching with Spoelstra and the depth of this team. Jimmy Buckets was, 30% today on 16 points? Yeah, no dog's giving me a 16-piece.
Yeah, but he finds ways to win without... if the ball's not going down for him. And ultimately, the biggest thing he has that Tatum has, and you better acknowledge this after today, is leadership, because Tatum had 0 today.
Agree. rewind a year or two, and I even had this conversation with you. I don't know how I feel about Tatum. I really don't know. I don't know if he's got that animal in him. I don't know if he's got that dog in him. Then I saw flashes of it last year, and he was winning me around. But today was weak, man. If you're at least getting blown out by 30, you drop an elbow, you get a tick. You show your team you're pissed, and you're willing to take a tee, and you're willing to put some dude on his ass. But no,
Miami was dancing in the paint all night tonight. And that's why they were able to spray out for so many threes. That's where they did their damage, because Boston basically let them run the train in the paint.
I'm going to say it again. You put any decent halfway all-star on Jimmy's team, and they have the same, if not as good a game as Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy's good.
Absolutely
yes,
wild
Jimmy.
take.
Yes, Jimmy's
He's got the
a dog.
second highest win shares and player efficiency in the playoffs, only behind
He's
Joker.
on a team where he's got nothing to lose. Let it fly, baby. Like the Jazz in the start of the season, zero expectations. Let that thing go and see what happens. And that's what happened with Jimmy.
The difference is he's in the finals.
Not yet. But what I'm saying is you put any halfway decent guy, Jimmy's position, in his place, and it's the same outcome because that squad is deep. They're well coached and they're deep. That's why. I like Jimmy. But they're not only there because of Jimmy. It's the team. They won today because Gabe Vincent had 29 points. That's why they won today. Robinson more than doubled his average in the playoffs. That's why they won today.
It's a symptom, not a cause.
Well, Jimmy going 38%, 5 of 13, and hitting 16 points. I don't think he's about to stand up and do a chalk toss and say, I'm him.
He doesn't need to. He leads
now
by
tell
example.
me why the hell you're wearing that ridiculous thing before I slap it off you.
I've been smiling the whole time, and you seem to have forgotten what this is. For those who don't know, we have a fantasy league.
Oh,
and
my God.
This hasn't been addressed on the pod yet, but Carl, can you tell me who won our fantasy league this year?
Let me just say, fantasy's a joke, okay? Right up until the last week, how we run it was terrible. You won because of luck, and there was zero skill involved.
It sounds like you're talking about the Lakers.
Tim, okay, you have to at least agree that when it comes to fantasy, it's all about injuries.
Oh, to a degree.
It's all about injuries.
But it's how you mitigate them.
You then exploited the fact that myself and our other fantasy member had never done fantasy before.
Neither had I.
Well, you exploited the fact that we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't know we could drop and pick players on the same day. And so you got easy wins in the first half of the season, which forced me and him into a dogfight. My number one problem with fantasy, and which is why you shouldn't be wearing that, because you didn't win.
For context, ladies and gentlemen, this man asked me to decide a championship, and like the 04 Pistons, I recognized a symbol of excellence that this is, which is why I'm the champion, and I'm the best.
Well, it's one of those bubble ring type scenarios, because the last week, when it come to the playoffs time, when I played you in the playoffs for fantasy, every single player was out. Every single player was out.
Hey, I lost Joker a lot too. It happens. It's in the game.
90% of my roster was out in DMP. The last week was a wash, and then to top it off, it was just about injuries.
It's being a good executive and a good coach to know when to rotate guys and to know who to pick up.
So you're telling me you wore that thing this whole podcast for Fantasy League?
Yeah. Because we're going to have a reminder up here on the shelves that anytime it comes to basketball knowledge and picking people,
you got lucky with injuries. Yeah, great. I can run with that.
The best.
I can run with that. All right, Tim, that's us. Quick predictions for the next two games.
I think the Lakers steal 4 and lose in 5, potentially. They've got a chance, but
Boston.
realistically it's ended in 5. Boston, they've already given up. Look at the second half. I think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think both teams sweep, so I think the more likely team at this point, both in terms of margin and mindset, is the Lakers. I'm
going double sweep tomorrow. You've already got trade rumors. You've already got sign and trade rumors with the Lakers and Celtics.
Oh, Rui and Austin to
be honest, I wonder if Jaylen Brown has poisoned the well a little bit. He wants to be that guy. We know this. There's been many times Tatum's taken shots and he's got his head down. I'm wondering if Brown's poisoned the well and gone, you know what, I'm out of here anyway, fuck this. But I'm going to call a sweep I'm going to call a sweep for both games, and then we look forward to the finals matchup, baby. Go Nuggets, my new favorite team.
Jimmy got that dog and